And we'll start with today's first story, okay? So with Biden addressing the country during his recent State of the Union and saying that it's time for us to get back to work, it's time for us to dust off our resumes and get ready to apply for more jobs that will not require us to go back to work in the office. As true freedom can only be achieved by jumping from one job to another, the way a monkey might swing from branch to branch to escape Elon Musk's deadly brain chips. There was I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to include that line and now it doesn't fit. All right, fuck it. We're going to keep going. Listen, as we do, as Americans desperately try to search for jobs that will not require them to go back to the office, there might be some gaps in our resumes as they're requiring certain experience that we might not have. And so with that being said, I got to ask everybody here, is it okay to lie on a job interview?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I guess, I said on a job interview, on a job application, and fuck it, both, in a job interview. Both. Like, okay, so both. It's okay to lie on. It's okay to lie on a resume.
Mine's yes and yeah.
All right, Shay, what about you?
Yeah, I know you and I had talked about this before. I never have lied on a job interview. I've bragged and I've maybe like exaggerated, but
that's lying. If you've exaggerated, you've lied.
I don't know.
I take that back.
Semantics, right? Like no.
As a base, I don't think it's okay to lie during a job interview because that sets a precedent. But I do think it's okay to lie on your job application.
I say both.
But then aren't they going to ask you about what was... they're going to be like, hey, it says here that like you trained tigers in Malaysia. Like, tell us about that. You're going to be like, look, all right, you guys, I was going to come in here and lie to you. Like, is this how you get points? You're like, I was going to lie to you, but after meeting you, I respect you too much to lie to your face. That's bullshit.
I'm going to use that line, maybe, but
I wouldn't do that.
Similar. No,
well, listen. All right. Well, okay. We're gonna table it here because we are gonna talk about. No, I did some research on this, and I did receive some, differing opinions on this. But Bustle weighed in on this. Whoever the fuck they
Bustle.
are. And Bustle. Yeah, the most
online
reliable
publication.
Yeah. They're all online at this point. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
Okay.
The famous print-only publication.
Yeah, the famous. Okay. They think there are 7 times it's okay to lie in a job interview. And I'm going to go over them with this now and stop me if you think that something is like too far or not good enough. Okay. So number 1 is when it's skills you don't have, but you know you can learn. And I agree with this like wholeheartedly because they're all fucking learnable skills. Like unless it's like, and it's funny because when you talk about shit like this, someone's like, so what are you just going to pretend you know how to fly an airplane? Like, that's not what we're talking about. Like, no one's talking about being a fucking pilot or like being like a military general or a doctor.
But also you could learn. You could learn.
Yeah, you could definitely learn. That's
not something I want to be in a situation in where they're like, all right, like, hey, you know how to fly this plane, right? Like, absolutely. Like, leave it to me.
I will say though, to that point, I have personally been in situations where sometimes you don't learn. And that's tough. And it's hard because I guess sets a precedent for like, the company going forward. You're like, yeah, I can learn this. Yeah, this will be easy. And then you're like, it's not.
And then you fail.
Exactly.
Well, he didn't specify. He said skills you don't have, but no, you can learn. Not skills you don't have and hope to God you can learn.
They're not the same thing. I thought that's literally what that meant.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Yeah, so some of these seem kind of like common sense. Like Shade mentioned, like embellishment. It's okay to embellish and be like, yeah, like I'm competent in these areas, or like I did this much stuff, or I earned the company this much money. Like there's not really any way they can go back and check. So fuck it, like shoot for the moon. Your greatest weakness. This is my fucking least favorite question whenever I interview, and I never have any idea what to fucking say. And everyone says to say the same thing, like, I work too hard. I hate my family. Yeah, I know.
You want to know what I said in my most recent interview?
Yes.
The interviewer, I got the job, obviously. We're very good friends now. I said, I have an attitude problem.
What?
And
That's amazing.
I don't plan on fixing it. And he was like, I really appreciate your candor.
Shut up! I don't give a fuck what you think.
I would not hire you.
We became very good friends after it, and you know what? It's working really well for me.
I think he just got lucky. Like he also had an attitude problem.
Yeah,
it's
he
like
does a little bit.
I can work with this. I speak this language.
I would not ever recommend someone follow in your footsteps, Rachel. I would like actively discourage anyone from saying something like that. But
I think, yeah, you get to the point where you're fed up with, doing the same script over and over when you do interviews. So eventually it was just like, yeah, fuck it. I have a really bad attitude problem.
Yeah.
And
I
it
always
worked.
thought, like, when they ask that question, they're not really looking for like a legit answer. They just want to know, like, how did this person deal with pressure?
Yeah.
Because like that's such a pressure question. It's like, how do
They're
they
asking you to lie. They're encouraging you to lie when they ask that question.
I ask
they
this
wanna
question.
know-
I want you to know, I ask people this question. When I do a lot of interviews. I interview like people at least once a week and have been for like the last several months. And I ask people their greatest weakness. You know what I'm curious to find out is I actually am expecting people to be honest. I'll tell you right now. Like,
well, what are some of the responses that you've gotten?
A lot of times it's bullshit. It's like I try too hard, or some of the answers that I think are a reasonable great weakness to, like, it's not your greatest weakness. It's what's a weakness that you can acknowledge is really the question. I think if you answer the question truthfully, what you're answering. And like for me, for instance, I say when I'm asked, that I overcommit, which is true. I like drop whatever I'm doing whenever something new comes and I start doing this task. So I have like a prioritization issue. And I like express that and then, like whatever. And that's a good professional work answer. Like the real thing is like, oh, I have like crippling depression and it like yields me like horribly inoperable, like for like two days at a time. And like, I'm just not going to do anything. Like I'm not going to say that on an interview, and I wouldn't also would discourage anyone else from saying it. But I do think, you know what? Actually, you guys are kind of changing my mind. Maybe that's a shitty question. Maybe I should walk that one back.
It's a bad question.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I think it's a bad question.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of these things I feel like are like really common sense, right? So like things that you should lie about, like how you feel about your former coworkers. I mean, I don't know, like if you fucking hated them, but like I'm also like I fuck around a lot at work. Like I'm the guy that like stops anyone from getting anything done. Like I'm the reason work from home is a good thing because I hate working. I'm like, I'd rather not do this. How you feel about your former boss, your interests, which is like
Agreed.
why would anybody even, like, I don't understand being asked this question. Like, it seems so irrelevant to the job. Like, what do you like to do when you're not working? Like, what does that have to do with me working here?
These are all questions I ask.
Why would you ask this question?
Culture, like fitting into the, corporate America loves company culture and like fitting into the company culture. So I've been asked about interests before.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I agree. The former boss one. Don't talk bad about your former boss. My former boss is the biggest fucking piece of shit idiot, and I would never say anything bad about him in an interview. Just that, like, maybe his management style and the way that I work don't mesh very well.
This is so hard for me to listen to because, like, I guess I internalize things too much. So, like, when things aren't going well with me in a company or like me and my supervisor, I'm like, it's me. Like, I'm the shitty one. I have to.
It's the boss. Just so you know.
Maybe.
All right, well,
no, nothing's ever wrong with me.
All right. Well, as I continued to like do this research, I did find that there was a list of things that you should always lie about on a job interview, and I thought this made a lot of sense. And it's dark. It's actually just sad. Number one was how you're doing. Always lie about how you're doing. Like, how are you doing today? I'm fucking great. I'm unemployed. I am here, hat in hand. I am so close to sucking your cock for this job. Like, I'm so great. I'm fucking phenomenal. Number two is why you're looking for a new job. Number three is where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't even fucking know the answer to this question. It's like, dude, within a span of 5 years, I lived in Beirut, lived in South Korea, and then worked at a penis hospital. Like, I don't know what's going to happen next week, let alone where the fuck I'm going to be in 5 years. And then a time you worked on a group project. I don't know why you would lie about that. And then what the latest book that you read. I think a really threatening answer. I think a great way to get a job. I hope people do ask me this question because I'll just say the Bible. And then when they don't hire me, I'll sue them for religious discrimination. I'll be like, they asked me my favorite book. I told them the Bible. And then I didn't get the job that I was definitely qualified for flying that airplane. Okay.
Well, even if you don't get the job, you definitely, like, in the lawsuit, you'll find out all the reasons why you didn't get hired.
Because they're never going to tell you. They're never going to tell you, I'm sorry, we're passing on you. They're just going to ghost you.
He said his greatest weakness was working, and that's when we knew he wasn't a good fit for the company.